Welcome to You're Not the Only One, the podcast for product-based business owners who are building brands, figuring out retail, winging it in their marketing, and occasionally Googling how not to lose your mind. So I'm Gill from CherryAid Marketing, and each episode I'm going to be chatting with someone who gets it, who gets the product business owner dilemmas and challenges. So I've got some founders, some creatives, and we're just bringing together lots of behind the scenes brains, people who want to help get products seen and help you get them solved. So it's proper chat, real talk, practical tips, and a reminder that you're not the only one going through this process. So this episode is all for those business owners who don't enjoy online selling, even though it is a massive part of what we have to do now, and everything that goes with it, but everybody knows it's a necessary evil. So today we'll be talking about building your brand online, even when digital marketing doesn't feel comfortable or come naturally. And let's face it, online selling is essential, but it's not easy. So today, my guest is Verity Smith. She's the founder of the Wide Welly Company, and she's been on that exact journey. So she's been navigating e-commerce, navigating social media, figuring out what works, and starting to feel more at home online. I think I'm all right to say that. I've known Verity for 6 years. We met when we were doing a business growth program with Manchester Met Uni, just pre-COVID. And it's been great to watch Verity's journey. It's been interesting. We've done some work together, and interesting watching how she's developed and how she's embracing selling online. So we're gonna get into what's changed for her, what's clicked for her, and some honest moments, if that's okay, Verity. So if you're still figuring it out or feeling like everyone else is selling loads of stuff, you see all the good stuff online and you think they're doing really, really well, and why am I not selling them? This one is for you. So Verity, would you like to just introduce yourself?
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me on. It's lovely to see you. Oh, sorry.
Fine.
Yeah, so as Gill has said, I am Verity. I am the owner and founder of the Wide Welly Company, which celebrated its 10th birthday, I think last year, but it might be this year. I'm never quite sure.
Are we doing something to celebrate?
When I'm going to take my start point from, but I'm around about 10 years into this journey, and it really is a journey. I don't think there'll ever be an end point. There's always a vision. There's always more to do. What was the question?
Who are you? What do you do?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so I run the business on my own, albeit I have support from my family. So when I get busy, they'll come in and do some picking and packing, and the kids will do some TikToks or, a bit of social media for me. My background is absolutely nothing to do with footwear or retail at all. I come from a logistics and manufacturing background, which is where I feel incredibly comfortable. The idea that you have to sell a product scares me witless, and I think it always will. But you are right, Gill. I am starting to embrace that an awful lot more. So I love the product development, and I hope at some point in this discussion I'll be able to show you the journey that I've been on in terms of product development. I love the whole import aspect of the business. I love getting the stock in. I love picking and packing orders when I get a sale in, but I'm really not a fan of the sales bit in the middle. So there you go.
Okay. Well, that seems like a good place to start then. Do you want to talk about your product journey and the bit that you actually want to talk about?
So I was aware of the need for this product. It would be round about 2011, and I observed other people who retailed similar products. So I'm not the founder or inventor of this product. Wide Wellies have been around for a long time. Other brands make them, and we all have a different take on
Do you want to
how
just
they make.
explain a little bit about what wide wellies are?
Yes, I will do. Okay. So a wide welly is what it says on the tin. It's not your standard welly. It's not made on a thin last. It's made on a wider last, so that you get a wider shaft to be able to get your ankle down in easily and into the footwell. And it gives you more room around the calf area, so you can get your jeans and you can get your socks in. And if you've got large calves, you get your calf in as well. So it's basically my products are rubber. They are made on a wider last than the standard last that's used for making wellies. Although, let's face it, what is standard? It's only standard because we've deemed it standard. Actually, I think wide wellies should be standard because most people struggle getting their legs into a normal welly. So I became aware of the market. I observed other people operating in that market space, and what I observed from looking at the feedback online was that they weren't taking notice of their customers. And I know from my background in manufacturing that if you understand your manufacturing process and you listen to your customers, you should be able to take information that they're giving you and tighten up your manufacturing process, understand where perhaps something's going wrong that you could do better. And that really kind of inspired me. But it didn't inspire me at one particular moment. It was only when a friend of mine who was on maternity leave said, I don't want to go back to work after I've had my baby. What can we do? And I said, wellies. And it was at that point, if she hadn't asked that question, we wouldn't have been sitting here now. So my friend and I went on this journey. We identified a factory in China on Alibaba. We went to the factory. We saw them advertising that they could make wide calf wellies. So we went to them. We went out to China. We met them. They said they could make us what we wanted. I think the key thing that we found out was that, yes, they did make us what we thought we wanted, but what we thought we wanted wasn't actually anything that was that useful. So we launched with 2 products, and I've still got samples of them here that I'd like to share with you.
Go on.
So this is the first product. It was a glossy welly. It had a gusset that was on either side of the calf. It had this stretchy rubber strap across the side, and it had these buckles. And when you put your straps through, because they were glossy and because there was nothing for the buckle to catch onto on the strap, they just waggled out when you walked. So you could set your welly, but it didn't stay where you set it. So that was our first attempt, but they sold really well. So, we stuck with it. That one and this welly, which is, again, you can possibly make out it was made on a wider last because it expands at the top there. But we just had elastic panels put in the side, which are great, but this isn't waterproof.
Okay.
The welly was only kind of waterproof up to there.
Okay.
So that didn't last very long, that one. So those are the 2 products that we started with. You could probably imagine that when you're UK based and your Chinese isn't particularly fantastic, that dealing with a Chinese factory is quite challenging. So the friend that I launched the business with left probably within 18 months of us starting and went back to a corporate job. And we are still friends, so that's all good. But I decided to stick around because I thought I knew there was a market for the product. So I then went and spoke to a former colleague of mine that I'd worked with in an outsourcing company years before. And I knew that he had a Chinese-based business and that he was very commercially astute. So I went to him to ask him for some help with my supply chain challenges that I was having, i.e. I couldn't get the product that I really wanted because there was either a mismatch in communication or there was somebody just deciding not to try and understand what I wanted. So I bridged that gap. And had this supply chain partner who was Chinese based. But as it happens, now I realise my next big mistake was the fact that whilst there was the commercial experience there, and there was the presence in the country, so you had Chinese dealing with Chinese, I wasn't working with a company that really understood footwear. And I certainly don't understand footwear. I just knew there was a need for the product. So we successfully developed the product, very much so, taking all the customer feedback that we were getting from the mistakes that we'd made. And the product that we moved to meant that we had a product that just had a single gusset on it. So what we realised was if you have a gusset down the inside, they catch when you walk in and it's uncomfortable. So we made that side smooth. We put just one gusset down this side and we added a really sturdy fabric strap that's got the surface is not smooth, so there's something to grab onto, and our really fabulous cam buckle, if you can see that really grips onto that strap. So when you walk, that doesn't move. And the rivets that you can see there are functional. That's not an aesthetic. They go right the way through into the inside of the boot, and that holds that whole piece on. So where you see other brands where that's dropped off, and I'd advise you to look at Clarkson's Farm, where they wear very expensive wellies and they're never done up because that's come off. Mine don't do that. So yes, I worked very successfully with the next partner too. When we developed that, we understood an awful lot more about the composition of the boot. You can vary the thickness, you can vary the amount of rubber in there. There's so much you can do with it, but you don't realise you can do it until the customer's telling you something's not working. And it's only latterly that I've realised that the challenges that I subsequently had working with that partner, the fact that they didn't have any more footwear knowledge than I did. So we're now going into a third iteration of the business where we have found another supply chain partner who has got extensive footwear knowledge and very different relationships with the factories. They've got long working relationships with them, whereas the supply chain partner that I had previously didn't have long-standing relationships because they weren't a footwear person. So we're moving into a third generation of products, which I'm extremely excited about. And it has taken a long time. But I think a lot of that is to do with the fact that I have never really sat down and done a kind of 5-year plan or, a plan for my business. I've kind of lurched from one challenge to the next and always thought, okay, when I get over the challenges, then I'll have a plan. I mean, actually, if I'd have had a much sharper plan before now, I might have sorted these challenges out a little bit faster. Now, having said that, I absolutely love the product development. I love asking the factory to try things out and them sending samples over and us going, oh, yeah, no, that's not going to work. But until it's made, you don't know if it's going to work or not. And the factory will never tell you. If you ask them to make something, they'll make it, but they won't tell you it's not going to work. You will only find out that it doesn't work when you get it, because they will always make you, or they'll always try and make you what you want rather than what they know would be successful.
Which would save you a lot of time and energy if they actually did.
Yeah, but wouldn't it be boring?
Well, that happens. It's really fascinating hearing your whole story, because I didn't know that, like, the original style of boot. You've always told me about the, I'm going to say clamp. It's not a clamp. It's a cam buckle,
yeah.
and how amazing it is. But I hadn't realised how amazing it was till you showed me that first version of your wellies. So that's really interesting. But it's obvious that you really, really care about understanding what your customers need and getting that product right for them. And I know you've always been on it in terms of quality and in terms of, I don't want complaints. And if I've got complaints, then I need to sort them out and understand why that's happening. It's clear that you've used that in your journey. I know you're about to, or you're in the process of launching a new version of your wellies.
I
Do you
am.
want to quickly
Yes.
about those? Because that's quite
Yes.
exciting. Isn't it?
Be delighted. So,
They're
but
getting
before
me
I
excited
do that,
about wellies.
who knew?
Who knew?
Before I show you one of the new wellies, I just want you to look, just remind yourself of that one, okay? So
Okay.
that's one of the first ones we launched with.
Know that one.
It only struck me yesterday, and find the right box, when the production samples of the new Betty boot came in, that one of the Betty boots looks very much like that one. So Betty boot is an ankle boot, and the tall boot is fabulous, but it's very seasonal. So during the summer, people don't want a tall boot, and we see more and more now people wearing ankle boots. So we have gone down the ankle boot route, and I've got 3 colours coming in. We've got this lovely khaki, we've got a black,
Excellent.
we've also got this blue one.
Lots of photos and videos being taken, yeah?
Yes.
Good.
But when I saw Betty Blue yesterday, I thought, oh, gosh,
Oh, yeah.
wow. And I wasn't conscious at all of, I mean, the colouring is very slightly different, but there's not much in it at all. So I'm consistent, if nothing else.
Yes. But we do like that colour.
Sorry.
We do like that colour.
Yes. Now, the interesting thing, something I perhaps didn't say before was these boots, my tall boots, you will notice are not branded. They don't say Wide Welly Company on them. They did once. When I started off, we didn't brand from day one. And we got to a point where we felt really confident with the product. So we branded them. And no sooner did we brand them, than we had quite a lot of feedback to say, I don't want people to know that I've got my wellies from the Wide Welly Company, which is quite sad. I get it. It was quite sad. So I took the branding off again. So to this day, my wellies have never been branded, which limits how you can get that product to market, because none of the big retailers want to know you. You might have packaging that's branded, but if you haven't got a product that's branded, they're not interested. So I did a little project last year with a fab man down in Leighton Buzzard. He's Hong Kong Chinese, and he came up with the new logo, which is WW & Co. So it's still Wide Welly. It's still under my brand umbrella, but it's just perhaps a little bit more subtle than the Wide Welly Company. So yes, that's.
We remember some of the comments.
So I'm really pleased with that. We are going to be branded, and then hopefully after that, we are also at the moment working on the next range of tall wellies, and I've had some. If I said I've had a Crocs idea,
Oh,
so we all know that Crocs hit the market, and everybody went, "Oh, who's going to wear them?" And now people have got 2 or 3 pairs. I don't, but maybe you've got 2 or 3 pairs, and you put those little widget things in that've got a name, don't you? Well, we've been thinking, what can we do that's Croc-like in the welly world? You can't really put a little widget through because you're going to pierce the rubber. Guess what? That'll leak. So,
be able to jump in any puddles then.
no, you won't.
Very wet feet.
You will. And that's not really the idea. So I have got a little idea I'm mulling around at the minute that I shall be discussing with my new supply chain partner, who have just had new lasts made. So a last is the mould that a welly's made on. New last being made, and we've got a wider foot on the next lot of wellies that will be coming out, because our feet are getting wider and flatter, because we don't wear supportive shoes anymore. We all wear trainers and Birkenstocks and flip-flops and stuff. So we are going for a wider foot, and potentially something, if this works, it'll be the Croc of the welly world. She says,
You're not going to tell me what it is now.
no, no,
I'm going to leave
no,
us
not
hanging.
yet.
Cheers, thanks for that. It's a
Watch
watch
this,
this space.
watch the space. If I get a sample made, you'll be the first to see it.
First to try it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we could try. You could try it as well. Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks very
Okay.
much. Good job. So, firstly, thank you for sharing all of that.
Did it make sense?
Yeah, it does. And it's really interesting for everyone to understand where you're coming from. And I think the thing I'm seeing more now is you're starting to talk about it more and explain it to people. And I think they're really grasping that and going, oh, okay, that makes sense now. And I didn't realise that kind of thing. So that's really good. Obviously, I'm coming from a marketing perspective on this. Could we talk about maybe a challenge that you've had to work through that might help somebody else in the same situation? Is there anything you can think of that you think, actually, do you know what? I didn't know how to tackle that, but I've done it and this is the outcome.
Gosh, there are so many challenges. And for me, because of my obsession with the manufacturing, I don't give enough time and effort to thinking about the marketing, thinking about SEO, marketing in terms of digital marketing and non-digital marketing. And that's a perpetual challenge to me, that I know it needs to happen, and it comes back to that planning. That's that business plan. Your business plan has got to include a marketing strategy. I have been so focused on, I don't want to use the word issues because issues are opportunities really, but I've been so focused on the product as it's come in and working through any challenges that I've had with the product, because I've never received a batch that hasn't had a challenge with it. So I've been focused on that and managing the customer service, that everything else has kind of taken a back seat. And I firmly believe that my business has lasted this long for two reasons. The first reason is customer service is non-negotiable. I've had to listen to people. I have responded to people. I may not like what they are saying to me, but they're a customer. And without customers, I have no business. And the second reason it survived is it can be a phenomenal product. I believe the next batch that I bring in will be the best product. And that will be the point where I feel confident to put the effort into that marketing and be proud to start shouting about the product that I've got. Because whilst I haven't not been proud of it, I equally haven't had the absolute confidence to really sing from the rooftops, because I've understood where there might be potential weaknesses. So thinking that, okay, the next one is the one, I have now started to embrace marketing. So I am putting the effort in to understand what SEO is. I don't want to do it and I can't do it, but I want to understand it.
Do it yet.
I can't do it yet, but I'm not sure I want to do it because I'm doing everything else. You know, there isn't anybody else working with me.
I think that's the age-old thing, isn't it? That when you're a small business, there's so much that you have to do yourself because you haven't got the budget to do it with.
You haven't got the budget, yeah.
And so you have to embrace those things.
I think if you're coming back to your question about the challenges, I'm not doing very well in explaining, but one of the things is you are right. There are so many things that you are never going to be able to do yourself and you have to buy in. And you never, well, certainly in the early days, you don't have the spare budget to be able to spend. But once you understand the things that you need and you can buy things in as and when you need them because you understand what you need at that time. I think that's something I've perhaps got better at. It would be great if I could achieve consistency. But the one thing in all of this is, however you feel, you have to try not to focus on the things that you haven't got and the things that you don't know, and keep building up the things you have got and you do know. Because as soon as you start thinking, oh, my SEO's down, could my website be better? I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. But everything you're not doing, you are doing something. So concentrate on the things that you are doing and you can do well, and then start picking off the other things and building them up, because you're not going to do everything in one go, and you don't have to give up. I found, although the business I don't find gives me a work-life balance, I think that's because I'm so obsessive about customer service. So if I get an email at 3 o'clock in the morning and I've woken up, I will respond to that email, which is ridiculous. Utterly ridiculous.
But the
But
customer's very happy.
yeah, they're delighted.
They wake up every morning and they've got an email back.
Although, to be fair, those days are, that was the early days when I'd get emails at 3 o'clock in the
And
morning.
you said to me just yesterday that you now don't have your laptop at home, which
So I have,
is massive.
I've started now. So everything's now set up in the Welly shed. I leave it in the Welly shed and I go home. And I even now bring my drying to the Welly shed because I've put my tumble dryer in here. So I've kind of started bringing my home to work, if you like, rather than my
The other way around.
work to home. But yeah, I do now make an effort. When I finish, there's always something else you can be doing. But I go home and I am with my family. So we have dinner together, and we'll have a chat and whatever. But I'm not then thinking about this all evening. I come back today fresh. And that's been a massive thing for me, is making that break. You haven't got to be there 24/7. You're not Amazon. And if a customer's emailed me at 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm sure they can wait till 8 o'clock for a response now.
Good.
Yeah.
Nice to hear you say that.
Yes. Revelation.
Yeah. And I think what you were saying about having a strategy before and not knowing what you don't know what you're doing. One of the things I always say is, let's get one thing right first, and then we can move on to the next thing, rather than just really going for it, because you can't do everything. You can't know everything. So it's easier just to get one thing right. So yeah, it's and it's very much about what pace can you go at and what can you handle as well, within what time have you got, and what how much energy can you put into that, rather than trying to do everything. So making it work for you.
Yes, absolutely. I think as long as you're covering the basics, then everything else you can pick up as you go along. One of the things I am incredibly bad at, and I still haven't worked out if that matters or not, is networking and talking to other people. I don't go out very often and meet other people who are running their own businesses. Sometimes I just think you could end up just dragging yourselves down a little bit more because you're all saying, what your issues are. And other times I find that people are giving you what they believe is helpful advice, but it's telling you how to run your business without really understanding what your business is.
Yeah.
I think that
networking shouldn't be like that. So go on.
I think a lot of the networking groups are more B2B, business to business, rather than business to consumer. And I've always felt a bit of an odd one out in the groups that I've visited. Well, it's not to say that not networking isn't valuable. Of course, it's valuable. I don't make the effort to go and find out what's out there, and I would probably benefit from talking to people a little bit more, because I can't work things out myself very easily.
Yeah, and you know that I was very anti-networking in the early days, but actually I do a fair bit of it now. Not masses, but the groups that I go to, I really trust the people that are in them, and have built relationships with those people. And yeah, my business is business to business, but if your business to consumer, it's not about who's in that room, it's about who they
No.
know and who
Yeah.
they can tell and all of that. And if you're stuck on something, then it's great to be able to ask them a question. Yeah, some people might try and tell you how to run your business. It's the ones that you actually really value what they're telling you and what they suggest. Or they might say, do you know what, I don't know, but I do know someone who does.
Yes.
And that's how it works. The other thing I've started doing is looking for specific networking opportunities in the right places. So for me, I want to work with product-based businesses. So I've been going to product shows and just talking to people there. Take off my I don't want to talk to anybody cloak, and I put on my to anybody who's here. Well, they can only tell me to go away, can't they? So I will just chat. But it's finding those right places to go. So whether it's attending a show, a consumer show, for example, for you, they're not cheap.
No.
But maybe just going along and seeing what's happening is worthwhile. And then eventually, if you do have the funds to be able to do one of those shows, then you can be having those interactions with customers and raising your profile.
That's a really good point. I am planning on being at Autumn Fair again this year to have a wander around.
So am I.
But on your point there about shows, people are always ask me, do you do shows and things? I have done. I've turned up at quite a few shows and spent quite a lot of money, and on the day have sold nothing in some cases, very little in other cases. Never once have I been to a show and recovered my outlay. But I then have no idea if somebody's come back after that show. So
Do you do the whole I'll take your email address type thing and make sure you can follow up with those people that visit the stand and stuff like
because typically I would give out a card that had kind of got a voucher on it or something that would be valid for say a year after the show, so then I could track if they'd come back.
Okay.
And I can honestly say that very few have come back, so it's not something that I have found. Again, maybe it's the wrong shows that I've been to.
It could be, but also making sure you maximise on what you're doing whilst you're there. So not just giving stuff out, making sure you're taking details as well.
Yeah, that's assuming that, I haven't tried it.
No, I know. It's just,
Mm.
you're spending that much money. You need to make sure you maximise it, really.
Yeah, you do. Interesting, the footfall's never been that great at any of these things that I've been to. So my guess is
it's not the right place.
Possibly the wrong places to go to. But because it is even for the smaller shows, it's a big outlay.
Yeah.
It's a lot of product that you've got to sell to recover that back. And it does amuse me that people are TikTok sensations overnight, and I wonder about the longevity and the sustainability of these overnight sensations.
Well, they sort of have their day, don't they? And then, unless they've got a clear plan or they've got something to keep people hooked, and it will eventually drop off. Or a loyal following. So, yeah.
If I could just be a TikTok sensation, I'd be gone next week.
We'll get on there and get selling you.
Unfortunately, I haven't got 10,000 followers, so they won't let me set up a shop.
But so then you need to start doing the videos so that you get your 10,000 followers, and you can do your shop.
We've got videos on there.
Shall we just start with carry on with Instagram for now, though? Let's get one thing right. But that's how you need to do it. Okay, so what's something you wish you'd known earlier?
Crikey. I think partnering with somebody who had the footwear knowledge that I lack would have been massively beneficial. I assumed it was going to be very easy to go to a factory to buy a product and that product be fabulous. I didn't know it was going to be such hard work to get a product that actually was functional and fit for purpose. And
But
I
don't put
think,
yourself down because you do know an awful lot.
yeah, well, I have learnt an awful lot. I could have perhaps fast-tracked and been at a very different point, a lot faster to where I've got to now.
Okay.
I think one of my weaknesses is that I don't ask enough questions and I trust people too easily. So therefore, take for instance, digital marketers that I worked with in the early days. I didn't understand what digital marketing was. I think I'm of that age group where, I only learnt how to use even a spreadsheet when I went to university, so at 19. So I feel very behind when it comes to technology and the whole digital age. And because not only do I feel behind, but I haven't got a thirst for understanding it. Therefore, if a digital agency is telling you they can do all this magical stuff for you and you hand over your money but nothing comes out of the other end, you haven't asked the questions. You haven't known how that stuff's going to come out the other end. And I've been guilty of doing that twice in my past, of trusting people, and actually the result was so incredibly disappointing.
Do you think that, so one of the things that I say when I'm working with clients is that it has to be a partnership, and I need to be talking to you and I need to be understanding what you want to achieve from your business and what product you've got to sell and all of that sort of stuff, so that I can figure out what marketing needs to be done to sell that. Do you think if you'd had those conversations with the digital agencies early on and kept in with them, do you think that would have been different?
I think you are spot on with that observation.
Okay.
Because if you are working with a supplier, it needs to be a partnership, because that needs to be mutually beneficial. Because neither of those businesses that I worked with historically will have got anything out of me, because I wouldn't have gone on to recommend them at all. And I certainly wouldn't go back to work with them. So for me, that was a real win-lose situation. And you are correct. Once we'd had, the first hour of exciting discussion and they'd come up with their plans, that was pretty much the last of the communication. So yeah, they didn't get to know me.
And was that because they weren't asking you stuff, or because you weren't prepared to go back to them?
Well, there's a bit of both in there. I think my assumption was that they would come back and there would be a discussion and there would be review points, but there never was. And I think I got to the point where I thought, well, wasn't a relationship then that you think, I want to continue with this, because you feel a little bit taken advantage of.
Yeah,
So I
I've
think you
spent
are
all
right.
this money, and yeah.
It needs to be a partnership and it needs to be two-way communication, because even though you as the supplier for digital marketing understand what your service is, I need to appreciate that. I can't do it. That's why I've come to you. But equally, you need to understand my product and me. So you're right. It needs to be that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that's what I'm starting. I'm definitely seeing that developing in the relationships I am forming now
Good.
for my business.
And I think them understanding the whole logistics challenges and how the product is made and all of that is really important as well, because they could, you could say, I want to sell XYZ or so many wellies, and they can go out there and start doing it, but you then might not have the product in time. And it's just understanding that whole, that business as a whole, really.
Yes, it is. And that's really interesting as well, because when we started on this journey, I assumed that I would be bringing in product every 16 weeks or so that it would be seasonal. But then at that point, I had no appreciation that, from actually confirming an order with the factory, and there could be 2 or 3 weeks of, to and fro between you and them before you get to a final order, to them actually dispatching the product can be 16 weeks. Because you've got to wait for a slot. They've then got to source the raw materials. The production run that's in before you might have issues, therefore that pushes yours back. So that 16 weeks suddenly went out the window, probably because even then, it took us a little while to get established. And the first container, we didn't even bring in a container to start off with. We brought in less than container load, but it took us 8 months to sell that, So yeah, as a tiny business, your lead times are critical. Your awareness of, shipping times at the minute, while shipping costs have come right down to pre-COVID levels, shipping times have actually increased. So you're seeing a 6-week transit time compared to a 4-week transit time. You do have to understand all these, and you typically find people outside of that don't get that those are things that you're working with. And yeah, when you start off on a campaign, you need to make sure you've got the stock here to fulfill it. Otherwise, it's kind of
It must be
pointless.
solid that it's coming in and
Yeah,
you're going to have it.
absolutely.
But
Yeah.
I think from a marketing perspective, things that, I'll be saying now to people, you need to be working on Mother's Day, for example. You need to be working that far ahead. But you don't know what stock you're going to have in for then. So actually it's about that balance as well.
Yeah.
Of, okay, well, we don't know what we're going to have for that. So what have we got now that we can talk about, or
Yes.
how much can we plan ahead?
Yeah.
And if we can't, what can we do? So it's very much about, for me, it's about working with the product business and making the marketing work for them. Because otherwise, why are you doing it?
Well, and there's another point there. So you picked up on Mother's Day. People quite often say to me, "Why don't you do a whatever for whatever?" And you think, well, that's a great idea in theory, but my minimum order quantity is 500 pairs. And if that event, let's say Christmas, why don't you bring in a Christmas range? Well, Christmas is only really, Christmas is a day, let's face it. We just start it in November, which is ridiculous. But why would I bring in, 500 of a product that may not sell in that short window, and then I've got to sit with it? It's great if your product is small and cheap and you're turning it around fast, great. But otherwise, you've got to be sensible about it for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. So is there something that's working for you now that perhaps wasn't originally that others could learn from?
I have to say, I have been utterly surprised by how I have now engaged with starting to be the face of my brand. So, as you know, I've been absolutely against it. Was never going to go on camera. It was never going to be
Yeah,
me.
absolutely not.
Not a chance.
Not even just even to get one photograph of you on an email newsletter was
No.
traumatic.
Yeah, it was traumatic.
Yeah.
And but then you weren't the only person banging on at me to do that. There were so many other people, like your mother nagging you. And
I'm very good at it.
well, at the point where I had the opportunity to work with Michael, who's the videographer, who's done some videos that were on my
Yeah, which are
website.
great.
And he came in and he said, right, we're doing the video shoot today. You are going to be on camera. I'd prepared nothing. And he said, you don't need to. I'm going to ask you questions. You're going to respond. That's that.
Mm.
And I thought, well, okay. And after we'd done that, he went away and edited it. It came back to me within 2 hours of him shooting it. And I was worried about watching it because you hate the sound of your own voice. You hate the way that you look. You focus on everything about yourself that you hate. But what you realise is that actually nobody else really cares. They're not actually that bothered. And I watched the video and I made a very conscious decision to detach myself from the fact that that was me. And I watched the video for what it was. And I thought, oh, well, that was okay. And guess what? I'm still alive. And at that point, it was quite strange actually. I'd done the video, and about 2 days after that, I got the opportunity to do the live with the lady who works at Wardrobe at the Cross in Neston. And I mean, that was so out of my comfort zone, because I wore a dress in the shop.
Wore a dress?
I would wear a dress.
Wowzers.
Yeah. Hillary dressed me in a dress. And again, I had no idea what was going to happen, and it was live. And I just went with Hillary she is a social marketing guru, and it's her thing. And she just made me feel so at ease. She was firing questions at me. I'm sure the answers kind of came out as a bit of gobbledygook, but I really enjoyed it. I wasn't prepared. Well, I didn't prepare anything for the actual live, and there were a lot of my friends watching that day that subsequently sent messages to say, or take the mick, basically, but say, well done, you've done it. And again, it was an enforcement that I've done that. Nobody else is thinking what you're thinking at all. And it just gave me then the confidence to go on and start sharing stuff. And I don't even listen to my own voice anymore. I'm not, if I watch anything back, which I rarely do, I don't listen to my voice. I don't look at my spots. I don't look at all the bits that I hate. I'm just looking at the message that I get back where people have said, oh, I didn't know this, or I've learnt that, or whatever it is they're doing. And I feel so much more, in a very short space of time, I feel very happy now making a short clip. I don't do lives. I do short clips and post them. I thought it'd be really difficult to come up with something to talk about, but so far I've managed to find loads of stuff to talk about, and it's getting engagement, and it's making me feel really confident about my brand and about what I'm doing, which actually behind the scenes is really fueling things that I thought I couldn't do. So this week I've had quite a list of things that I've been putting off for ages that I needed to tackle. And I thought, do you know what? Yeah, I can do them. I can do them.
You can.
So if anybody is having any challenges in being the face of their brand, I'd just say JFDI, really, because everybody is doing it, and nobody looks at you and thinks what you think about yourself.
Okay, so is there anything that really annoys you in
Yes, you get spammed by so many businesses telling you that you're not ranking for certain search terms, your website's rubbish, you need to change this, you need to change that. People have got no idea about your business, that have sent you an unsolicited email, and they arrive just after you've possibly had a really good discussion with somebody. And I have been working with somebody on SEO, and I do rank really well for terms that I really want to rank for. So why does it give somebody the right to send you an email and say you're not ranking? And to start off with, I used to reply quite rude emails.
You did used to.
I just ignore them, because when you find people that you trust and that you can work with, they're just like, it's just white noise. But yeah, the volume of emails that you get from people telling you that they can do better for you, the fact that they've got to come to you tells you that actually they're not very good, because otherwise you'd have found them in the first place.
You're right.
So yeah, I did used to really get riled by that.
You did. That and the ones where you'd won an award.
Yeah, and I never paid for them.
Brilliant. Oh, and you can go to dinner as well if you want.
Oh yeah, 750 quid.
Oh,
Lovely.
Are there any or is there one moment that made you think, am I the only one who?
Oh, gosh, there's not one moment. There's millions of moments all the time. Because when you look at social media, everybody's smashing it. It's going well for everybody. And at those points you think, gosh, am I the only one? But actually what you realise is it's how you talk to yourself that makes a difference. So when you start to turn things from I haven't got to imagining that you have got or you can do something, then you start feeling very different and that you're not the only one. It's how you, when you talk to yourself differently, you can change what's happening around you. You change your approach to things. It changes how people approach you as well. And you start to feel better about yourself and about what you're doing.
So how has that change come about? So I'm just as guilty of it as anybody. How would you suggest someone changes how they talk to themselves and how they frame stuff?
Podcasts and books. For
Okay.
instance, I got one here because I was actually sat reading before we came on air. This is a brilliant book, North Star Thinking, by this chap called Will Polston.
Okay.
And I've had the pleasure of working with Will on and off over the last couple of years. He's a phenomenally successful guy, a really amazing. He's an entrepreneur and he's a business coach. He's walked the walk, he talks the talk. So reading this by Will, I follow a guy called Dr. John DeMartini, an American guy. It's Tony Robbins, sorry. I don't know why I call him Ted. And then just find podcasts of people who have been in your situation, and the thing that they always that's always running through the thread in all these things is how you talk to yourself. And who was it who said, if you think you can, and if you think you can't, you can't. And it's true. It is absolutely true. And at any one moment, yeah, you do feel like you're alone, but you can switch that and think, well, I feel alone. I don't want to feel alone. If I can feel alone, I can feel like I'm part of something, or I can feel more successful. And
Okay.
it's a lot. Your mind is incredibly powerful.
Okay.
Incredibly
That's really
powerful.
interesting.
And I have found since changing the way I talk to myself, the people that I attract to me are very different.
Yeah. Very interesting.
Power of attraction is immense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that I come out with quite a bit is Mel Robbins has said quite a few
Oh,
times.
yeah.
It's called Let Them. So with you saying about how uncomfortable you felt about what people thought of you and how you looked, you think, well, I'm putting this stuff out there and I think all this negative stuff about myself. But if somebody else is thinking about that, they're not going to tell me.
No.
So I'll just let them think it. It's quite hard mindset wise, but yeah.
It is. And the other thing is you can't control what anybody else thinks.
No.
And actually, it doesn't matter what
No.
anybody else thinks either.
Yeah,
Because
and I think the ones that it does matter are the ones that are backing you and supporting you all the way, aren't
you
they?
are correct. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I'm going to wrap up in a second, but is there any advice or lessons that you'd like to pass on to someone in the same boat as you, say from 5 years ago?
Having a plan and having a vision,
Brilliant.
as simple as that. And keep refreshing that vision.
Yeah.
Because once you
It does
have got,
change.
sorry,
It does change.
it does change, but once you've got a clarity in your vision, in your direction, it directs your actions. You start moving from procrastinating or focusing on stuff that don't add any value to actually honing down onto the things that make a difference in your business, tackling the things that matter, asking the questions that matter. But you need a vision.
Brilliant. So, how can people, if they want to connect with you, how could they reach you if they want to buy your wellies? What is the best way for people to find your business?
Well, I am clearly online, so I am the widewellycompany.co.uk. That would be the obvious place to start. I'm on Instagram. You'll see me all over Instagram. I am Wide Welly Co.
You are.
I have got a Facebook presence. It's not my favourite platform, but I'm the Wide Welly Company. And alternatively, you can visit my small retail emporium at the back of my welly shed, which is in Hoylake. Be more than welcome to come and visit me here. The one thing I have noticed, Jill, is that people don't use the phone anymore. We
No.
don't talk to each other. I get lots of emails, but no one ever rings me.
So you like people to call you?
Yeah, I do like.
I like calling.
I do. Yeah, well, you and I are about the only ones that use the phone to each
Well,
other, I think, these
do you know
days.
what? You are probably one of the only people, apart from family, that I feel comfortable to just pick up the phone and say I'm going to touch to Verity. Not, because most of the time you have to send a message and say, is it all right if I call at this time?
Yes.
When did that happen?
Yeah,
Because I always just used to pick the phone up. It's bizarre.
well, I think when I first started working, about it was 1994 when I had my first proper job, that we didn't have emails.
No,
We literally had phones. We sat on a bank of desks. We talked to each other. We rang somebody up. If they weren't there, you left a message and they rang you back, and you got stuff sorted out. Whereas now we send a message to have a phone call, where a load of actions come out the other end that form an email that then gets shot out to people that then never get actioned. And I just wonder how that's progressed. So yeah, please pick up the phone to me.
yeah, we love to chat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay, so thank you for coming and chatting to me today, Verity. It has been really, really interesting, and I think there's some really useful nuggets in there for other people. If you'd like to know more, if you'd like more insights into marketing for product-based businesses, then you can join my mailing list. I send weekly tips and tricks, and don't spam you, don't worry. Just to help you grow with confidence and help with your marketing journey and take away that guesswork, really. I'll put links in the notes of the show and on all the different platforms when I put it out there. So that's it for this episode of You're Not the Only One. If you nodded along or you laughed, even snorted into your cup of tea, then please feel free to pass it on to somebody else who'd need to hear it and get them involved too. You can follow or subscribe on the YouTube channel to make sure you don't miss the next one. And if you feel like giving it a review, crack on. We want to know what you think. Only if it's nice things though. So I will be back with more honest chats next month and proof that you're not the only one doing this little journey by yourself. Thank you.
Bye.